each day I'm consuming about a half gallon of fresh air.
I love everything about older women. I love the smell, I love the feel, I love the mentality.
I'm Lacey Wild, I'm 45 years old, I have 6 wonderful children, and it's taken me $250,000 to build the most extreme plastic body in the world.
I love the smell of drywall, the texture of it, the taste. I love everything about drywall.
23 disturbing addictions, 7 levels. I've put together an iceberg of the most shocking obsessions ever featured on My Strange Addiction. They'll start weird, but believe me, the deeper we get, the more messed up and, frankly, unhinged the addictions become. Let's start at the tip of the iceberg. Disclaimer. Level 1. Man in a relationship with his car. Nathaniel, a 27-year-old Arkansas resident, appeared on the show to discuss his romantic relationship with Chase, his red 1998 Chevy Monte Carlo. The episode delved deep into the extent of Nathaniel's objectophilia, a psychological condition where individuals develop strong emotional and romantic attachments to inanimate objects. Nathaniel described his first encounter with Chase at a car resale lot in 2005 as love at first sight, saying that Chase's body and interior and everything just together seemed to fit, leading to what he described as an instant connection.
We have our times when we get...
Does that feel good? You're a handsome man. Love you, baby.
Of course, that quickly escalated into something far, far more intimate. The episode showed Nathaniel engaging in behaviors that crossed serious boundaries of typical human-object interaction. He would kiss and caress the vehicle, describing how he would lean over his fender and across his hood, and press up against him and rub against him. He started treating Chase like a traditional romantic partner, taking him on dates to scenic lookout areas, purchasing gifts for him, and even keeping photographs of the car on his work computer, which is kinda sweet in a weird sort of way.
If something were ever to happen to Chase, my heart would just stop. I just have to gather myself here. I'm sorry for all that.
But Nathaniel's attachment to Chase dominated his daily life in ways that concerned those around him. His roommate Kim expressed worry about the social implications of his behavior, noting that it's not normal and that people might not understand and make fun of you. To make matters worse, Nathaniel rarely allowed others to drive Chase and became visibly distressed when separated from the vehicle for more than 24 hours. In 2023, TLC revisited Nathaniel's story only to discover that Chase had been destroyed in an accident during routine maintenance. The loss devastated Nathaniel, who kept mementos of Chase in his bedroom, including a blanket covered with photographs of their time together. He described the loss as breaking his heart, saying, "I still think about it a lot, and it just breaks my heart that he's not here." But Nathaniel did fall in love again, with a black Lexus ES330 named Lex. Unlike Chase, whom Nathaniel identified as male, Lex is female, and he's attracted to her lights and curved appeal, noting her cute little cheeks and beautiful headlights and taillights. Well, I think it's fair to say that he has a type. Addicted to dating grandmas. Kyle is 31 years old and refuses to date anyone under 65, although he's willing to go all the way up to 91 years old. Yes, 91. In the episode, Kyle's friend sets him up with an age-appropriate girl, but it's obvious right away that Kyle is just not into her. For one thing, he's already thinking about how beautiful her grandmother must be. But also, he's just not into young women at all. Kyle ends up going on a dinner date with a woman he meets online, Karen, who's more than twice his age. When she arrives, Kyle eagerly compliments how gorgeous she is without hesitation. It's pretty obvious that Karen has never been on a date with someone so young, but Kyle doesn't care at all. Throughout the show, Kyle is constantly talking about older women as being beautiful, desirable, and valuable. He insists that there's no monetary interest for him, only the genuine attraction to an older woman. And honestly, the episode really suggests that to be the case.
I love everything about older women. I love the smell, I love the feel, I love the mentality.
Every time he encounters a woman, even one he isn't romantically interested in, he's completely unashamed of his attraction, and he's extremely kind and generous to everyone, regardless of whether or not he's into them. Which means a lot to Karen, who says that she doesn't get to feel desirable like this very often. Kyle brings Karen home, and that's where it starts to get intimate. The cameras do eventually cut away, thank you. Then we meet Kyle's ex, Jackie, who is too young for him. She's 61 years old and she has 3 children, all of them older than Kyle. Even though they're not together, they're still on very good terms with one another.
We just seem to get along so well. Even when I was dating whoever and you were dating whoever, we seem to always come home to each other.
Considering that most episodes of My Strange Addiction are, one way or another, built to make you pity or judge the people involved, this is one of the rare episodes where you kind of admire the main addict. Kyle is just a cool guy who knows what he likes. He makes these women feel good about themselves, and it also serves his own interests and desire. And frankly, as I get older, it's a nice lesson to know that with age does not come a loss in value. Married to a carnival ride. Linda lives in Tampa with her husband of 3 years, but Bruce isn't exactly what you'd expect him to be. You see, Bruce is a 70-foot-tall skydiver carnival ride made entirely of steel and cables. So yeah, kind of a unique guy.
I don't want him to be a human. I don't want him to have those traits. I'm just happy with this hunk of steel that's shaped into being this beautiful, shining star.
Linda first encountered Bruce in 1981, though at the time she was romantically involved with a train. In fact, her previous relationships included an airplane and that train, which cost her a job when coworkers discovered her in a romantic embrace with the locomotive. That's not a sentence I ever expected to say. Linda identifies as objectum romantic, meaning she develops deep emotional and romantic connections with inanimate objects. She sees Bruce as her soulmate, complete with personality and consciousness. After working for the carnival to stay close to Bruce, she watched helplessly when a powerful storm toppled him over, sending him away for repairs in Kansas. The separation devastated Linda, but she never gave up hope. She placed a promise coin with Bruce before he left, ensuring they would always be together. Years later, a friend found an advertisement selling Bruce, and Linda purchased him within 24 hours of learning he was available. A reunion was everything she had dreamed of, but Bruce came with significant problems. Linda has invested over $90,000 attempting to restore Bruce to working condition, though he still requires thousands more in repairs. She describes their relationship like an old married couple, complete with candlelit dinners in her garage where Bruce's parts are stored. Linda can now spend entire nights touching the pieces of Bruce that she can physically reach, so it feels like they're always together.
But when I wasn't with Bruce, I did have a relationship with this skydiver behind me. Yes, I did. And we were close.
Of course, the financial commitment continues mounting while Bruce remains inoperable, but Linda conducted a commitment ceremony binding herself to Bruce, flesh to steel, with a non-denominational preacher. It did cost her a relationship with her mother, who objected to her daughter marrying a piece of steel for religious reasons. But Linda chose Bruce over her own family, saying that Bruce is and has always been her beautiful, shining star. The man who is sexually attracted to balloons. Julius's addiction became clear when he was 4 years old. A nurse popped his cherished balloon and he sobbed through the night. But from that moment, the sound of a balloon deflating became unbearable, and objects themselves became his sole source of comfort, even in the most intimate ways.
They're beautiful, they're soft, smooth, delicate. I have a connection with them. Sometimes I wonder if it's my love for them that brings them to life.
Today, Julius wakes up every morning in a room lined wall to wall with balloons. He can't drift off unless they cocoon him on all sides. He categorizes them by shape and translucence and admits the spherical ones stir his deepest and most lusty responses, though he can't pinpoint why. Might need some therapy to unpack that one. Over 5 decades, his attachment has never waned. He's described a very visceral reaction when he inflates one. His heart flutters, his palms sweat, and he feels a rush of pleasure that he says is pure bliss.
My love for balloons, it's also a love. When I see a beautiful balloon, my heart starts to flutter and I get aroused. I'm holding one, hugging it, I'll kiss it. And it's like being in heaven.
When the TLC cameras came, he was more than willing to show how he handles the newest balloons, stroking its surface, pressing it against his face, and pressing his lips to the rubber as though, well, I don't think I have to spell it out for you. He also strangely dedicates himself to rescuing stray balloons. He prowls car dealerships at dawn, gathering deflated or sun-baked specimens before they crack and burst under the heat. He brings these wounded balloons back to life in his home, restoring their shape and gloss before adding them to the ranks of his collection, over 50,000 balloons. Despite the intense nature of his fixation, Julius lives a quiet life with his wife, who accepts the sanctuary but declines to take part in the filming whatsoever. The only other person aware of the depths of his obsession is his friend and his nephew, an addiction counselor, who gently challenges Julius to consider seeking help.
You ever think that maybe there's something wrong?
Nope.
Have you ever thought about going and talking to somebody about it?
I don't have a problem.
Right.
So why be concerned?
Julius acknowledges the concern, but insists his routine causes no harm and will not change. Level 2. Addicted to laxatives. Kimberly was 15 when she discovered laxatives as a solution to the dreaded freshman 15 weight gain that plagued her first year of college. Her roommate suggested the pills as a quick fix, and she got hooked. The more she took, the better the results seemed, so she kept increasing the dosage until she was swallowing around 150 laxatives per day, sometimes reaching 250 on particularly desperate days.
I take laxatives probably about 10 times a day or more. On average, I probably take about 150 a day. The most was probably around 250.
At 6 feet tall, Kimberly now weighs between 105 and 108 pounds, having lost approximately 50 pounds since she began this regimen. The pills have become her primary source of nutrition control, suppressing her appetite while forcing her body into a constant state of evacuation. She deliberately avoids reading warning labels because she doesn't want to know what the medication is doing to her body, but the physical toll manifests in disturbing ways. Her stomach produces strange growling noises, and she frequently vomits the pills back up immediately after taking them. She cannot leave her house for extended periods because she must remain close to a bathroom at all times.
I've almost completely isolated myself from everyone. I just want to be at home and take my laxatives and be near the bathroom. At this point, I have to take them to be regular.
And the dependency has progressed beyond weight control. She now requires the laxatives just to have regular bowel movements. Her family watches helplessly as she isolates herself, pushing away anyone who expresses concern about her weight or eating habits. When her mother suggests she needs to eat more, Kimberly deflects with vague promises that she's trying to do something about it while concealing the true extent of her consumption. The breaking point came during a middle-of-the-night emergency room visit when she began vomiting blood. Doctors pumped her stomach and discovered bleeding ulcers, warning her that continued use could prove fatal.
Her cells are already ravaged. As she keeps doing it, the body has less and less ability to recover.
And you should get to the point where you really don't need the laxatives at all.
Okay.
She considered their advice for approximately 1 day before resuming her routine. The laxatives have become more essential to her daily functioning than food itself. Since the episode aired, Kimberly has confirmed that she did quit taking laxatives, finding a healthier way to handle her weight. Also, folks, if you or someone you know is dealing with an eating disorder, please seek help. Only eats 100% raw meat. Weston Rowe's addiction sees him following a diet that consists solely of uncooked flesh, convinced that raw meat retains nutrients destroyed by cooking. He shops for premium cuts like ribeye, chicken breast, organ meats, and consumes up to 2 pounds each day, believing that the enzymes and vitamins remain intact in their natural state, and that this primal regimen cleared his chronic skin rashes and lifted the fog from his mind.
It can feel like very primal. After I eat it, I get this urge to just kind of like howl like a wolf, you know, just like, "Woo!" You know?
His mother, however, is terrified. Weston's addiction came after he suffered from an unknown illness with bizarre symptoms. He became so ill that he collapsed after a major seizure, shattering his jaw in 3 places and cracking 12 teeth. With no clear diagnosis and no way forward, he began looking for his own solution and found the raw meat diet, which he claims has cured his mysterious illness. Since then, he ate raw meat for years, up to 3 or 4 pounds a day, with no apparent side effects.
Yeah, we eat raw meat every meal here, and I do about 2 pounds a day, so about, I'd say, 14 pounds a week.
However, in the clinic, Dr. Mark Shearer examined Weston's stool sample and discovered an abnormal strain of E. coli not normally present in the human gut. He warned that this is all it takes. 1 serving of raw chicken or beef could be the thing to kill him.
And unfortunately, all it takes is 1 serving of chicken, 1 serving of beef, 1 serving of neurologic tissue, brains, eyeballs, that could tip him over the edge and have serious complications.
But, as is typical in this show, there's no sign that Weston even considered changing his ways. He hasn't suffered any side effects or illnesses, which will only really embolden him to continue going. That's very bad news for his mother, who's obviously distressed about the situation and just wants her son to be healthy and happy. Weston does compromise a bit, however. Just to make sure he's getting a balanced diet, he makes sure everyone knows that he does also eat fruit. Just in case you were concerned about that, that's for you. Plastic surgery addict. At one time, Lacey Wilde was an A-cup. Then she discovered plastic surgery. Now she's transformed her body through at least 30 plastic surgery procedures, spending over $250,000 in pursuit of what she calls the most extreme body in the world. Pretty sure she has that.
I'm Lacey Wilde. I'm 45 years old. I have 6 wonderful children. And it's taken me $250,000 to build the most extreme plastic body in the world.
Her breasts now weigh 42 pounds combined, requiring her to sleep propped at a 30-degree angle to avoid suffocation. She has to be careful around the stovetop in case her chest catches on fire. She currently wears a triple L bra size, achieved through tissue expanders that allow doctors to gradually stretch her skin. But supporting this extreme modification required surgeons to sew pigskin into her abdomen and install an internal bra system. The physical limitations have become severe. Wilde cannot run due to the bouncing motion, struggles to find clothing that fits, and cannot tie her own shoes. Her appearance on My Strange Addiction revealed her desire to undergo another surgery to achieve triple Q-sized implants.
I'm here at the plastic surgeons. I'm hoping that the surgeon's going to tell me what all I need to do to get my triple Qs.
Despite the obvious health risks and family concerns, Lacey has expressed that she wants to continue pushing the boundaries of body modification. She sees herself as working toward becoming the adult Barbie and describes her philosophy as plastic makes perfect. Woman eats cat hair. Lisa is 43 years old and lives in Detroit, Michigan. 15 years ago, she began picking up loose cat hair around her apartment and chewing it to feel closer to her pets. At first, it was just to gather stray tufts from behind the couch or off the carpet, but after adopting a new kitten, her curiosity turned into full-blown compulsion. Now, she can't go more than 2 hours without a fix.
I kind of look at it and make sure it's relatively clean and just cat fur. I'll kind of break it apart and then just put it in my mouth.
She breaks apart the soft, downy clumps, rolls them into loose balls, and puts them in her mouth. She chews them briefly, sometimes removing them to play with the fibers before swallowing. She even keeps hair stashes in Ziploc bags and scavenges around every corner of the apartment for any stray strands. Eating cat hair is one thing, but she doesn't stop at stray hair. She grooms her cat with her own tongue, mimicking a mother cat cleaning her kittens, stopping short of more sensitive areas like paws and the litter box region. She views this as a bonding ritual. When her cat needed help after surgery, she began tongue grooming, and it quickly turned into another way to collect fresh hair. 2 birds, 1 stone. for concerned loved ones worry about intestinal blockages and long-term damage from ingesting dense fur, and dermatologists and addiction experts have warned her about risks, but Lisa insists she has never experienced any adverse effects, so therefore it can't possibly be a problem, right? Lisa calculates that she has ingested thousands of hairballs over the years, yet she still sees her habit as harmless. Every 2 hours, her craving resurfaces and she turns to the same unsettling routine. Gather, chew, swallow, repeat. And meow, probably. One thing that she doesn't do? Subscribe, and that is a real problem for her. Fortunately, you can avoid that fate by hitting that subscribe button now. On to the next level. Now, one thing she doesn't do is subscribe to our channel, but you can. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you'll always know when we drop a new video. On to the next level. Level 3. Addicted to eating cat food. Mary's obsession with cat food began 5 years ago when her marriage collapsed, leaving her isolated at home with only her 3 cats for company. Well, she needed a hobby. Mary, a 48-year-old unemployed woman from Michigan, now consumes an estimated 900 cat treats every single day, along with multiple cans of wet cat food. Some days she replaces human food entirely with cat food, describing the experience as treats that burst with flavor in your mouth, which sounds suspiciously like something a cat would say. She has consumed over 1 million cat treats since her addiction began, spending $200 monthly on cat food for herself, despite having no income. I kinda don't want to know how she's paying for it. Mary's consumption extends beyond dry treats to wet cat food, which she claims tastes like chicken soup, just like Grandma used to make. She squeezes the spoon against the bag to collect the gravy at the bottom, savoring every drop. Her brother calls the habit gross, insisting there are 4 basic food groups and cat treats are not one of them.
Treats should not exceed 10% of a cat's total daily calorie requirement.
I've been eating them for so long and I'm fine. I mean, how could
I
they
know,
be hurting
but I
me?
think it's getting out of control a bit.
Oh yeah, well.
When Mary finally saw a doctor, she was warned that cat food contains byproducts, carcinogens, and antibiotics that could prove fatal. The examination revealed she was likely anemic with elevated blood pressure that could indicate kidney problems. In fact, cat food packages clearly state, not for human consumption, yet Mary dismisses these warnings, claiming she feels fine despite years of this diet. Her therapist identified the root cause as loneliness and isolation following her divorce, comparing her behavior to alcoholism and how she hides her addiction. Mary eventually agreed to enter a 12-step program, though the show indicates mixed success in breaking her dangerous compulsion. It's not as tasty as a bowl of tuna, that's for sure. Addicted to bee stings. Margaret's arthritis pain was debilitating, leaving her struggling with daily tasks and desperate for relief. She had read about bee venom's anti-inflammatory properties and decided to try what seemed like an alternative folk remedy. The first time she brought a bee into her house and deliberately stung herself, she was surprised by 2 things. It didn't hurt as much as expected, and the next day, she could move easily. Well, that's all it took.
The first time that I stung myself, it didn't hurt as bad as I thought it would, and it just got easier every time.
Margaret now stings herself up to 15 times per day, targeting her hips, elbows, fingers, ankles, forehead, and even the tip of her nose. She has accumulated over 50,000 bee stings in the past decade, using tweezers to grab bees and press them against her skin until they inject their venom into her veins. Margaret maintains beehives in her backyard specifically to fuel her habit, and has even developed preferences, choosing older bees to feel less guilt about killing them. At one point, Margaret admits that when she hasn't had a sting for a while, she becomes cranky, and she credits the bee venom with improving her mood and enhancing her intimate relationship. Which means that this woman who once sought relief from arthritis pain now depends on bee stings for emotional regulation, which is even more concerning. Every day, she kills 15 bees and risks potentially life-threatening allergic reactions, all for a bit of relief. Woman addicted to eating sand. Bria appears to be a typical 19-year-old, but she's not. Her daily routine involves consuming sand from playgrounds, parks, and beaches up to 6 times per day.
And I'm addicted to eating sand. I just love the crunch. I eat it when I go to my room, when I'm walking to class, when I'm reading a book.
Her addiction began 5 years earlier when she accidentally got a mouthful of sand at the beach and was instantly hooked on the crunchy texture. Now she collects her preferred sand from specific locations, removing the larger rocks and debris before consumption, and enjoys.
My favorite sand is actually the sand from the playground or a park. It's natural, it's straight from the earth, it's really good and it's really crunchy.
She treats sand like a seasoning, sprinkling it on tortilla chips and other foods to achieve what she describes as the best crunch she's ever experienced. She particularly enjoys mixing sand with gum, calling the combination mouth-watering. Before bed, she places a pinch of sand in her mouth, and when she wakes up, pieces remain lodged between her teeth like leftovers. When her sand supply runs low, Bria turns to nail files, chewing on their sandpaper-like surfaces to satisfy her cravings for that specific gritty texture. She positions these files against the back of her teeth, grinding them to simulate the sensation she gets from sand consumption. If that sounds like a terrible idea, that's because it absolutely is. The behavior has escalated to the point where she consumes sand at every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, treating it as an essential dietary component. She does eventually agree to see a doctor.
Bria needs to stop eating sand. The sands around her could be contaminated with bacterial, parasitic, and viral infections, some of which could be potentially life-threatening.
But you just know that it's not something she's ever going to consider changing. At least, not until she has to see a dentist about the damage she's done to her teeth. Level 4. Addiction to taxidermy. Divya Anantharaman spent her evening cruising Brooklyn streets with one purpose: finding animals.
And I'm addicted to taxidermy. And I love finding animals and stuffing them.
The 28-year-old fashion designer has literally turned roadkill hunting into a full-time obsession, dedicating entire days and nights to scouring sidewalks, parks, and roadsides for fresh corpses. When the cameras arrive, her 800-square-foot apartment had become a makeshift morgue, housing over 50 stuffed creatures in various stages of decay and preservation. The addiction started innocently enough 4 years earlier when she discovered a dead mouse and couldn't resist cutting it open. Something about inspecting the tiny body, understanding how it worked, triggered an insatiable need that would eventually consume her life. She began collecting specimens from beaches, under bushes, anywhere she could find dead animal corpses. The more decomposed, the better the challenge, and the more satisfying the victory.
There are dead things everywhere, you'll find them. I try to look under bushes or, through sort of thick parts where people don't really go, sort of where an animal would go to die.
But her refrigerator was on another level. Alongside her beer and vegetables sat plastic bags containing future projects. Dead mice, birds, whatever she'd managed to retrieve from the streets. She kept a freezer specifically for her growing collection, treating roadkill with the same care others might reserve for groceries. The apartment reeked of chemicals and death, but Divya had stopped noticing. The health risks are obvious, right? Dead animals carry rabies, bird flu, and countless other diseases that transfer easily to humans through handling. She developed a system for inspecting fresh finds, checking eyes for maggots, looking for signs of advanced decomposition, but the dangers didn't deter her from continuing. Every day brought new specimens to process, skin, and mount. Her relationships couldn't survive the obsession. Boyfriends who initially found her hobby quirky soon realized they were competing with corpses for her attention, and she chose taxidermy over human connection repeatedly, spending 12 hours daily working on her collection while potential partners walked away.
I've definitely had a boyfriend who's been like, you can't have your taxidermy thing going. So I was given the ultimatum of him or taxidermy, and I chose taxidermy.
The isolation only deepened her dependence on the dead animals that surrounded her. But I guess on the one hand, those dead animals aren't going to go anywhere, right? So at least she won't ever be heartbroken, unless she finds a live one. Addicted to eating drywall. Nicole first tasted drywall when she was grieving her mother's death, drawn initially by the smell of the chalky white material that lined her Detroit home. Now she breaks through the walls of her residence 6 times each day, methodically chipping away pieces to satisfy cravings that override every rational thought about consequences.
I love the smell of drywall, the texture of it, the taste. I love everything about drywall.
Nicole devours up to 3 square feet of drywall weekly, adding up to over 93 square meters of wall material over her addiction's duration. Her house resembles a construction site under demolition, with gaping holes scattered throughout rooms where she systematically harvested chunks of gypsum and paper.
It's kind of like a chalky taste. I probably eat about this much a day.
The destruction extends beyond her own property as she ventures into friends' and relatives' homes, leaving behind a trail of damaged walls everywhere she goes. I mean, at the very least, couldn't you just buy a slab at the hardware store as if you were grocery shopping instead of destroying your friends' and family's homes? But maybe she shouldn't, because drywall contains materials used in construction that pose cancer risks when ingested regularly. The dust alone can irritate eyes, skin, and lungs, causing coughing, sneezing, and nosebleeds, and extended exposure can lead to breathing difficulties and pneumonia. Nicole's body endures constant exposure to these hazards as she consumes pounds of processed wall monthly. Despite understanding the dangers, Nicole remains unapologetic about her habit, declaring she no longer feels compelled to hide her addiction.
Eating drywall? Are you serious?
Yes.
This is not some kind of joke.
No joke.
Her neighbors have responded by actively preventing her from entering their homes, fearing for their own walls. They have to take action to try and protect the structural integrity of their own houses from a hungry woman. Addicted to injections. Carmelo, a 23-year-old mother with a 4-year-old son, has undergone 54 buttock injections over 3 years without ever consulting a licensed plastic surgeon. The episode reveals how she receives these procedures in hotel rooms and residential locations from unlicensed practitioners who operate entirely outside medical oversight. In fact, the woman administering these injections keeps her substances in large bowls, claiming they contain liquid silicone, though Carmelo admits she has no way to verify what's actually being pumped into her body.
The woman who does give the injections, I don't know what her background is like. We meet different places, sometimes in a hotel room. She keeps the liquid in a big bowl. The woman says it's liquid silicone, but I don't know for sure.
The reality proves far more disturbing than even Carmelo realizes. Court documents later reveal that her injection provider was using industrial-grade materials purchased from hardware stores, including metal lubricant and cement. Nearly 2 liters of this unregulated substance now sits permanently in Carmelo's buttocks, creating a ticking time bomb beneath her skin. The woman performing these procedures had no medical background whatsoever, yet charged clients hundreds of dollars for each session. Carmelo's friend Vanity serves as a living warning of what can go wrong. Vanity nearly died from the same black market injections, developing life-threatening complications that required emergency medical intervention. When Vanity tries to warn Carmelo about the dangers, she reveals that their shared injection provider has been indicted on federal charges for using industrial materials on human subjects.
Your shot lady, she just got indicted. She was lying to you, she was lying to everybody else. Aren't you mad that she was injecting you with industrial grade silicone?
Yet Carmelo still feels compelled to return for more procedures, even knowing the risks. The injections are literally sealed with super glue rather than proper medical closure techniques, and the facilities lack any sterilization protocols. Federal prosecutors have successfully convicted multiple practitioners across the country for similar operations, with victims suffering permanent disfigurement, systemic complications, and in some cases, death.
There's so many things wrong with what Carmelo had done to her. These injections can cause infection, it can cause strokes. It just takes one bad injection, and within minutes, you can die.
But this is still a very real problem, and people like Carmelo make it easy for them to find more and more victims. Level 5. Addicted to eating mattresses. At the age of 5, Jennifer discovered a craving that would define her life for the next 2 decades, chewing and swallowing the foam layers of mattresses. Over 20 years, she consumed the equivalent of 8 full mattress toppers. That's around 0.09 square meters of foam each day. By her mid-20s, she had moved on from her own bed to chewing on her mother's mattress, sneaking in when no one was watching. I think her mom would have noticed.
Jennifer eating my mattress is getting way out of hand. We don't know what this mattress is doing to her. Me and my son just need to confront her today and ask her why is she doing it.
Anyway, from the outset, Jennifer sought the clean foam. Nothing scented, no coatings, just plain polyurethane. She had fond memories of tearing off chunks of the pillow top, kneading them in her fingers to remove the lint, then biting off strips like a pastry. But that started to become a compulsion. Every day she would wander into abandoned bedrooms or hotel rooms, always on the hunt for fresh foam. And then came the illness. Jennifer started to notice endless gas and sulfur burps as the indigestible fragments of mattress fermented in her gut.
It enters my body and leaves my body. It goes through my system and goes out.
She had to get an endoscopy, which revealed endless bags of wet fibers extracted from her stomach, confirming that she had given herself pica disorder, a compulsive ingestion of non-food substances. The doctors told her that if she kept eating mattresses, she would end up causing intestinal obstruction, liver damage, and even fatal complications if large fragments blocked the bowel. Despite her insistence that the foam passed through whole, imaging studies and follow-up exams showed that her intestinal walls were thinning and she had early signs of liver inflammation. Even though polyurethane is relatively harmless on a chemical level, the physical properties of the foam, like its spongy texture and ability to trap bacteria, made it no less dangerous. When Jennifer appeared on My Strange Addiction, clinicians urged her to pursue behavioral therapy and nutritional counseling to stop this. She agreed to begin therapy, but her prognosis remained uncertain by the end of the episode. Pica often resists treatment, and the damage from 20 years of mattress consumption had already taken root. What happened next, we don't know. Dangerous addiction to bleach. Gloria had been adding household bleach to her bathwater every morning for 7 years when the TLC cameras arrived at her home in Birmingham, Alabama. She was going through more than 300 gallons of bleach annually, pouring it directly into her bathwater until she felt it was enough. Then she would soak in the caustic solution until her eyes burned and her skin tingled, using these painful sensations as her signal to finally get out.
And say, Gloria, you need to stop using bleach. Other than that, I will never stop using it until the day I actually die.
The ritual began during her pregnancy with her third child, when Gloria would tear pieces of tissue, dip them in bleach, and consume them like pills. Her nutritionist and doctor intervened, probably saving her life, but the craving never disappeared. Instead, she just escalated it into a daily bathing routine that left her skin severely dried and damaged. Gloria's obsession extended far beyond the bathroom. She cleaned every surface of her house with bleach every single day. Tables, stairwells, bathrooms, kitchen appliances, and countertops. The chemical smell would hit visitors in the face when they entered her home. Whenever she left the house, Gloria would pour bleach on the top of her hand so she could smell it throughout the day. Gloria's skin became increasingly damaged because of the contact. During one medical consultation, a doctor explained that bleach at the concentrations Gloria was using acts like battery acid, capable of destroying tissue in the eyes, gastrointestinal tract, and skin. The physician warned that the fumes could cause respiratory distress and even death. Frankly, it's any wonder she was still alive. There were 5 separate incidents that required emergency medical attention when Gloria inhaled excessive bleach fumes. Her eyes remained constantly red and irritated. Her clothes were destroyed as well as her furniture, but she declared that only divine intervention could make her stop using bleach, vowing to continue the dangerous practice until she died. Despite medical warnings about the corrosive effects and her family's pleas, Gloria showed no signs of reducing her bleach consumption. She continued to use 3 gallons a year after the end of the episode. Addicted to breastfeeding her husband. Rachel Bailey's addiction was a little bit different from most of the others featured on the show. Her addiction came out of a problem that she could not control. She produced so much breast milk that her breasts swelled, flat one moment, then rock hard the next, causing her excruciating pain. In 2016, stranded on a cruise without a pump, Rachel turned to her husband, Alexander, for relief. He agreed, and she began breastfeeding him to ease the pain.
For the past 2 years, we've been fully breastfeeding, and he drinks it.
That very quickly became a daily ritual: breakfast, lunch, dinner, sometimes snacks. But Alexander always drank straight from the source, calling it sweet liquid gold. According to them, this was never a fetish kind of situation, but a necessity. Pumps felt mechanical and cold, but her husband's mouth felt like a more natural release.
I personally don't like breast pumps because I just don't like that mechanical part of it all. It doesn't feel good, it's not natural for me, and I just like the bond of breastfeeding.
Without Alexander, she said that infections would flare and her milk ducts would block. To them, it's just something they do. When they appeared on the show, Rachel called it an act of bonding, while Alexander went for the term relief. But both of them insisted that this was a way to try and help, to relieve the pain that his wife was going through. Their children were always fed first, and if there was anything left over, Alexander would help his wife. Now, obviously, some people will react to that in disgust, and others will think that it's sweet. But according to them, they haven't actually done this for over a year now. Once their youngest child was weaned, she no longer had any milk to provide, allowing them to get on with their days without having to breastfeed. Both have since gone on to watch their episode of My Strange Addiction, saying that it was an odd, strange experience to see it themselves. And even they thought that it was cringy and uncomfortable. Level 6. Woman sniffs and chews dirty diapers. Keisha, a 22-year-old from Queens, developed a relentless craving for used urine-soaked diapers roughly 2 years before her appearance on the show. At first, a friend handed off a diaper for disposal. She tucked it away, then kept returning to inhale its soiled scent throughout the day. Apparently, that was all it took.
My addiction to diapers started about 3 years ago. One of my friends was changing her baby, and she gave me the diaper to throw out. And I kept it for like a week, and I smelled it like every morning, night.
The scent delivered a surge of satisfaction she couldn't resist, and she held on to that first diaper for weeks, continually sniffing it until its fibers began to break down. By the time the TLC cameras arrived, Keisha's collection was bigger than any private stash. She estimated having hoarded over 25,000 soiled diapers, more than enough to sustain 6 infants through early childhood. She stored them in kitchen cabinets, bedroom drawers, and even in her car's trunk, which must have smelled beyond words could express. A single diaper traveled with her to bed, to the grocery store, to therapy appointments. The bigger the stain, she said, the deeper the pleasure. In her words, the taste was like sour candy. Obviously, her friends and family thought she was absolutely insane, but she needed this fix. One of her close friends, Kim, had twin babies. Suddenly, Keisha would show up unannounced to rummage through the trash or swipe the freshly soiled diapers straight from the nursery, even if she had to wake up the children first.
Hurry up, baby's crying. It's very annoying because she doesn't care what time it is. She'll wake my baby up to take the diaper that's on the baby.
Her fiancé got tired of this very, very weird habit. He found damp fragments of used diapers stacked in cups they shared, draped over sofa cushions and hidden behind fast food wrappers. At home, she dug through the trash bags at odd hours, scavenging until she secured a new fix.
She's even willing to dig in the garbage for her diapers.
I'm gonna smell them just one last time and then you can have...
By then, the diapers weren't even pristine. If this has been too gross for you, it's about to get even worse. There was mold formed along the edges, flies buzzing around the damp shreds of diaper, which only intensified the odor and, in her mind, made it all the more tasty. Despite offers of cleaning out her stash or switching to odorless substitutes, Keisha refused to even think about it. She wasn't even embarrassed when describing how flies clung to the fabric or how the infestation was all over the floor of her apartment. She genuinely loved this, even if her friends and fiancé really, really did not. Level 7. Couple drinks and bathes in their own pee. Nick and Aubrey became one of the more iconic couples the show has ever seen because their obsession is more about passion than anything else. Every morning they fill their jars with fresh urine instead of water, and yes, they drink it. A lot of it. In fact, they do everything with it.
We are addicted to drinking our urine, and I have not drank water for years now.
Each day I'm consuming about a half gallon of fresh urine.
They shower under a trickle of the same pee, soaking and rinsing their bodies without soap or shampoo, convinced that this all-natural approach flushes toxins from their skin and replenishes lost nutrients when consumed. Their kitchen counters are full of open containers of pee, ready to be used for whatever they have to do. Usually they swallow it plain, but sometimes they spice it up and mix it with protein powder, convinced it aids digestion and hydration. Now, I'm sure most of you are cringing and finding it gross. I sure am, but they claim that it gives them clarity and energy. So, is there a medical benefit to consuming pee? Apparently not. The University of Pittsburgh Medical Center warns that drinking urine reintroduces waste products and bacteria into the body, forcing the kidneys to work harder and risking dehydration. It just makes you more at risk of bacterial infection and serious life-threatening illnesses.
When you drink your urine, you put back into your body all the waste that it was trying to dispel, thereby forcing your body to reprocess it. And continuing to drink it will quickly take a toll on your body as the toxins build up.
So, urine therapy is a myth with no scientific basis, which is something the show actually poses to them. Maybe that will change their mind. Nope. Despite mounting warnings, Nick and Aubrey keep chugging. They're convinced that they have swelling energy and clearer skin, and they really seem to like the taste of their own product, so there's that.
You really do feel more nourished drinking your urine than you do drinking water.
I feel radiant, vibrant, vital, and more in love with myself and life through this practice.
They claim in the episode that they consume over 200 gallons of urine a year from drinking alone, which means there's no chance that this is going to come to an end anytime soon. Not unless their kidneys give out, of course. If you're still in the mood for more disturbing content, why not check out this iceberg on the most disturbing movie accidents?